All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so let's go over it. We're going to kick it off here with QQQ and SPY. I'm just going to, before we jump into the levels, I'm going to go over, the key factors that I want to discuss in today's video. We like to draw a big picture, most of these videos of where we think the market's going to be going. We have, a bunch of different components of the market. How is everything shaping up? All right, so let's go over that first. QQQ, speed round here, by the way. QQQ looks like it is about to be breaking up over here. Even though you had that nasty sell into close going on, you still look like you want to break up. It's looking very constructive. It looks like it wants to take out 566.06 and maybe push 568, 570 as soon as tomorrow. We have VIX. VIX over here hit the lower trend line we talked about when price was just over here. We have now taken out that low, taken out the next low. And as we said, we're in this weird looking range going on here. If we come down to take out the low, it's probably going to be short lived. We have now taken out that low. We're at the lower trend line. 4-hour RSI is hinging up off oversold territory. That is typically where this thing starts bouncing back from. Doesn't mean it's going to immediately bounce back, but it either starts bouncing back or it takes out that low, puts in a new low, and it'll form a 4-hour bullish divergence. So one or the other is on our radar. We don't know what's going to happen here in the short term, but it's probably going to be one of those two scenarios here with VIX, where it's either going to spike here in the short term or it takes out that low, prints the 4-hour bullish divergence, and then probably spikes next week. All right. Either way, we got this constructive look going on over here. We knew about it ahead of time before we got to the lower trend line here. We knew about it. All right. And we knew the expectations beforehand. I will also point out hourly bullish divergence going on here on the 1-hour RSI. 15-minute RSI has been building out divergences all day. All right. But really, lower trend line got to the low of the range like we were looking for. 4-hour RSI hinging up off oversold territory, 1-hour bullish divergence. That is VIX. All right. What else do we know, guys? What do we know? What do we know? What do we know? Microsoft probably going to be taking out the high above 514.64. It can push 520. It is probably going to be getting there before its earnings next week. And if I had to guess, maybe as soon as tomorrow. What do we also know? NVIDIA also looks like it wants to take out the highs. NVIDIA is the largest component in the NASDAQ. It is probably going to drag things a bit higher. QQQ looks ready to explode. NVIDIA can explode up to new highs here. And I imagine not just going to be a one-day pop. Let's get it going. All right. What do we also know? AVGO. All right. Chips are looking strong as well. AVGO looks like it wants to break up to new highs tomorrow. Probably going to be doing a thing. All right. What do we also know? Apple. I know it's not going yet, but this is in a spot to make a big move. Apple, that is another massive component of the market. So far, we have Microsoft, one of the largest components of the market. We have NVIDIA, the largest component of the NASDAQ right there. And guess what? The thing, all right, wants to break up. Microsoft, another big boy, wants to break up. Apple, it can move up. Google, we got a big old ugly freaking day going on here, but at the end of the day, the thing, it is not falling flat in its face just yet. All right, buyers still have a chance right where we are right now. All right, Amazon, does it look all that bad? No, it does not. It took out 232.22 today. It actually, it spiked all the way up to 236. Nuts kind of move today, guys. Nuts kind of move. It was actually right at the close, and it was a glitch. It was a glitch. Didn't even happen. Over here, 234.07. That's where it should have. The wick should be right here. So it doesn't look all that bad. All right. Just understand things don't look all that bad. That's what I'm trying to paint a picture for you guys of. All right, you got AMD over here. What did we talk about it the other day on this dip right over here? We said it's probably only going to be a matter of time until it's back above 161.96 and pushes our 167.51 target. Guess what? It's probably going higher tomorrow, and it's already back up to new high. There you go. That was easy. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so what I'm getting at, guys, is things as a whole suggest we're probably going to be continuing higher. We know VIX is either going to be starting to spike from here, or it starts building out that 4-hour bullish divergence, dances around a bit, and then probably is going to spike next week. All right, so what is this a recipe for, you ask? All right, Henry, what the heck does all this mean? Can you just tell us? Black and white terms here, plain and simple. Stop complicating things. Yes, I got you. No problem. We're probably going to be going higher in the short term. Probably going to sell that rip that happens probably by next week. There you go. Nice, short, simple, to the point. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's get into the video. But that is our big picture point of view. That's, really the outlook for the, where the market is right now in its cycle. I think we are probably going to be pulling back next week. All right. But in the short term, things look like they're set up to rip. All right. QQQ. Let's go over some levels above 566.06. We're talking 568. 570 can come as soon as tomorrow. On the downside, you're watching 564.35 and then a 563.29, which was today's low. You take out 563.29, guys, that's when a larger move down can come. That's when maybe we're wrong and maybe we're not going to have this explosive move up to the upside. Maybe not. Underneath 563.29, we're talking 562.31, 560.80, 558.61, and 557.20. Coming over here to SPY. All right, pretty ugly daily candlestick, I will say so myself. All right, got a bit of a shooting star candlestick going on today. On the downside, we are watching today's low, 633.99. Take out 633.99. We could come back down to 631.54. That's really the only thing you have underneath there. And that is the level to watch tomorrow, guys. That's right around this 4-hour 21 EMA. We know if buyers are going to be defending, they normally like to defend that 21 EMA. So that is our line in the sand for buyers. Okay, you take out 631.54. Larger sell likely incoming. From there, we're talking 629.73, 627.86, and 626.28. That's going to be a big level of tested. All right, on the upside, 636.15. Today's high. Take out 636.15. We're talking 638, 640. Crazy, I know. Gonna just resume our little analysis over here on VIX real quick. Okay, bottom of the trend line. 4-hour RSI hinged up off of oversold territory. 1-hour RSI definitely deep in oversold territory with a bullish divergence starting to pop back there. Likely going to be bouncing back over coming sessions. Come over to DIA, guys. We're right underneath previous all-time highs. Okay, real talk. We are so close. We are probably going to just continue a little bit further and test them. I know it's looking a bit hairy. I know. But we are so close, we're probably going to test them. Here on the weekly chart, we could see you had a pullback. You start breaking up to a new high. Let's see if we can close out above 448.86 tomorrow. That's going to be a good look going into next week. Coming over here to IWM. What do we got? All right, what do we got? IWM, 15-minute triple bullish divergence going on here. Your RSI is also, 15-minute RSI is also down to the same spot where most of the time we do end up getting decent dead cat bounces. Now, if we get the same bounce that we get most of the time, we're just going to pop right back up the highs. So I want everyone to be aware of that. That is definitely a possibility to get right back up to 226.14 as soon as tomorrow. So that is something that's, I'm not going to say it's probable, but it's definitely something on the table that I think people should be aware of. And yeah, it's something that ties into that big picture point of view I talked about. 15-minute bullish divergence is probably going to play out. And whether that be a gap up overnight, we see it play out overnight, or you stay around where you are tomorrow and we're just sitting down here, 15-minute RSI opens oversold, and then we get the bounce, intraday. We don't know, but it's likely going to be the case, at least in the short term, whether that be the overnight session or tomorrow's session. We don't know, but that is IWM. Now we're going to come over here to the Mag 7 stocks. I know we already reviewed some of them, but let's talk about all of them right now. Tesla, guys, it's not one that I'd be touching. I know. I think Elon is actually a decent dude. It sucks that everybody hates him. It seems like he got absolutely crapped on, himself and his company throughout. For something I think he was just trying to do good for. He's not the best at vocalizing what he's got going on. But I will say, I still don't think it is a time to be touching Tesla stock. Even though the guy is not such a bad dude, the stock is not in a place where we're going to begin good price action. You don't have a reason to trade the mess. Just avoid it, okay? I'm sorry. I also think Tesla, all right, is run by a guy who's, a fairly decent man here. And he might even be a tank, okay? But I'll tell you, it's stock. All right, it's showing us that it's not time to be touching the stock right now. It's just not, okay? Which means there's probably not going to be, anything crazy coming out of the company, all right? A lot of these moves happen with catalysts. Well, if the stock price is looking like this, then we just have no catalyst to go off of right now. We'll know. The chart will speak for us, okay? The chart will tell us. Or the chart will speak for Elon. Be like, guys, now is the time to touch my stock, okay? But until then, you shouldn't touch my stock. That's what's telling us, okay? That's Tesla. Come over to GOOG, guys. Big sell. Big sell. Like I was saying before, buyers got a chance here. All right. I've seen this before on GOOG. I don't know exactly where. Oh, never mind. It didn't end up good. That was where. And that was where. I was going to say, I've seen a lot of gap and fades off of Google. This was actually the occurrence I was about to reference, was this one where you just kind of consolidated for a few days and then start working on those highs over the next week, and then boom, you had a big impulsive move over the next 1 to 2 weeks. All right, so it can happen. If bulls are going to hold it, they're going to hold the 4-hour 21 EMA here, which is currently around 191. If you start seeing price get under 191, then chances are we're going to get a larger sell going on here. You do have this 4-hour bearish divergence going on here with the earnings spike that happened. Don't be surprised if things sells, but just know it still can hold, be held right here. I'm not just telling people to short the thing. You can if you want, but you got to lose this area first, and then it likely falls back down here to 185. That is GOOG, all right, which is Google. Same stock as Google, GOOGL. Microsoft, like I said earlier, guys, I think this thing's going to be heading up to new highs. 514.64 looks in the cards as of right now. It looks like it's probably going to be hit tomorrow if I had to guess. And if it doesn't get hit tomorrow and we consolidate into end of week, then early next week, we're going to hit it with a day like that where we gap and go. Above 514.64, we're talking 520. Lose 576. Things look a little hairy there, a little less good. By that, I mean, yeah, we're starting to roll over, which, as you see, buyers, they held you right where they had to not too long ago, just yesterday. Apple, like I said, guys, it's not looking the best on the day, but it is definitely in this spot where a big move can just be about to start to take place here. We have all this consolidation here, and I'm just going to point to the weekly time frame. Weekly cloud is starting to flip back to bullish, okay, but real talk, it looks like it wants to take out this 216.23 high. If it can take out 216.23, it's likely going straight to 219.38. That's where you broke down from over here. All right, honestly, another level, 219.71. That's the level we're going to be watching over there, okay? So above 216.23, we're talking 219.71 incoming. But, currently, I know it's looking a bit hairy, but this is just consolidation right here at the top of your range. It looks like it wants to bust a move to the upside, and I'll tell you, a big move is loaned to the upside, and once we do get that cross here, once we break above 216.23, we're going to probably have a few weeks of upside, and we're talking 225, 230. My actual target for this chart, 233 to 237. That's what I'm seeing, but I have a feeling they're going to make that move after earnings, because earnings is next week, like we talked about, Thursday. All right. Oh, maybe we didn't talk about that. Thursday, Amazon and Apple earnings are going to be next Thursday, and then we have Microsoft and Meta earnings on Wednesday. Brain fart. We fought through it though. We did. We did that. All right, so that's Apple. NVIDIA, guys, like I was saying, it's the largest component here of the market, of the thing we like to love, the market. And the thing wants to keep pushing, which means the thing we love, the market, is likely also going to keep pushing. Above 174.25, we're talking 176, 178, 180. Freaking crazy stuff, I know. But this last leg, or any real pullback, at a 15-point move up. I am not saying you're about to get a 15-point move up, but I'm putting into perspective on why people want to short these things. I'm telling you the danger of doing so early. All right, that's NVIDIA. The thing's about to break 174.25 tomorrow. Watch for the continuation move. Last time, even though you got sucked back down into the abyss within that same session into the next session, you still had a 2.27 point pop. That means from above 174.25, even if it's going to be a false breakout, we still can push 176.50. All right, so expect 176.5 tomorrow. Amazon. All right, crazy big upper wick going on here. Just know the actual high of day was over here. TradingView's has been having a lot of glitches recently. I don't know why, but it's been happening. The upper wick should actually only be 234.07. Now, we got increasing volume on the day. We got some movement on the day. I know this has a massive upper wick, but it shouldn't be as large as it is showing right here, okay? It's not looking all that bad. We still can continue pushing. We'll see what happens. You do have the 4-hour bearish divergence going on there. But with everything that's going on, and, you know, we know Microsoft and NVDA are probably going to be pushing highs tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon takes out 234.07 and pushes 235, 237 realistically. All right, so that is Amazon. Coming over here to Meta, guys. Not the best looker on the day, but I do think a decent-sized move is loading. And I think that's going to happen off of earnings. All right, we got this little bull flag going on here. We're coming right into earnings in this, you know, tight consolidation going on. Reverted back to the mean over here, weekly time frame. We got a bit extended there, pushed all-time highs, and pulled back into the moving averages. This thing, I think, is getting ready for a big move up, but I'm very certain it's going to happen off of earnings. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it happens into earnings, but yeah, I'm just going to say we're getting that close. This is actually exactly what we talked about. I don't know if anybody remembers, but the second we printed this weekly candle, we said, you know, it can push back up, but it's probably going to be sold and stay consolidating until earnings. This is exactly what I had in mind. I hope some of you guys remember that, because we definitely talked about this exact action going on weeks in advance. And now here we are right before earnings. Thing is still not moved, guys. You know, when you see something, say something. When you see something, say something. You could do something. All right, it all works into the thesis. But yeah, real talk over here. Getting ready for a big move. Probably not going to be happening until earnings above today's high, 723.62. Likely going to push 728. At that point, it goes 737.53 and then 747.90. Current all-time high. But again, I don't know if that's going to happen until earnings. So yeah, limit those expectations. All right. Let's talk about some trade ideas going into tomorrow and going into next week. I'm going to talk about some things that are hot. Now, as I pointed out already, AVGO, guys, you know, some of these chip stocks, they're looking like they want to run back up the highs. You could trade that, okay? Real talk. TSM just had earnings. It pulled back, reverted to the mean, all right? And it still looks like it's going to rip. So, you know, I'm just going to point out some of these chip stocks look ripe for a rip. We're talking TSM. We're talking, I know, don't speak of the devil over here, ARM. I know. But it also looks like it's going to be ripping back up through these highs. And it actually does have earnings as well next week. Okay. So not really much to trade, but I'm just pointing out there are definitely some of these chip names that are shaping up that you can be trading. TSM, AVGO in particularly, that I, you know, think are going to have some good moves into next week. Next one, we're talking about PLTR, ready to rip back up to the highs. We told you this was likely going to be bought, and we said over 151.79. It's probably going to be pushing back to 155.68. I know I wasn't here yesterday. Sometimes life does get in the way. I had a personal matter that popped up, and, you know, although I don't like letting life, you know, life matters affect what I do here on this channel, sometimes life happens, okay? You guys understand. But yeah, even though we weren't here yesterday, you guys had some solid info coming into yesterday's session, and I hope some of you guys that was easy. Killed it. All right, but over here, PLTR, guys, above 151.79. It was pushing up to 155.68. We're now up there. Today's high was 155.63. We know we have supply sitting up there. If we get above 155.68 tomorrow, guys, I think this thing could push 160. All right, and if it doesn't happen tomorrow and it continues just consolidating here into next week, then we're probably getting a decent sized move next week up to 160. AMD is another one. You know, I gave you guys on this day right over here. I know I was not here yesterday, but I'm sorry, things happen. But now we are back up at new highs, guys, above 161.96. I think this is going to be making its way next week up to 167.51. One to keep on your radar. AMD. One that, you know, before we go over this one, I'm going to go over the one that's really exploding right now, which is Oklo. I hope some of you guys made a killing on Oklo over here. I know it's been this bipolar little mess going on recently, but the thing ripped up the highs today and is probably going above $80 in the short term. If that does not happen tomorrow, it's probably going to happen next week. We're going to see 80 plus over here on Oklo. All right, so this one, we barely saw new highs. We broke out above 60 bucks. We ran to 73. I know that seems like a decent move, but it's really not for how much consolidation we had going on here. At the size of this range we had going on, 13-point range. Actually, you just hit the measure move and then pulled back off there. Regardless, it's not as big of a move as you would expect from this setup right here. You now have a little cup and handle action going on. You pulled back. You have a break and retest off previous highs. And now you made your way back up to highs on heavy volume. It's likely going to be a theme that sticks over the coming weeks is nuclear, okay? So SMR. This is one that it was leading the way last week. But I'm just going to point out daily time frame. This thing just pulled back, break and retest off these highs over here, and now pushed up to a new high. It is probably going to continue. I think we see 55 to 60 in the short term. Maybe it has itself a decent 10 to 20% day tomorrow. But if not a big day tomorrow, I think one is probably coming next week. So something to keep on your radar. But again, Oklo is the one really making big moves right now. SMR is likely to have its turn next week. Or tomorrow. Damn. Damn. All right. Toast. TOST, guys. You broke out from a 2-month base. Actually, it might have been 3 months. I think it was 2, though. Yeah, you broke out from a 2-month base, and now you've been basing out here for the past week and a half. The thing is likely going to be pushing up to 50 bucks. I think it might be ready to make that move tomorrow. If it doesn't get hit tomorrow, expect $50 to $52 to come next week. But I do think we're in one of these impulsive moves. I know it doesn't look all that impulsive, but that's because it hasn't started. I do think we're probably going to be catching some steam over here soon on TOST. And once it gets going, I don't know, maybe we do push 55, 60 bucks. But 50 to 52 is that short-term target, okay? That's my short-term target. QBTS. All right, congratulations if anybody was a dip buyer over here. All right, I've been covering this setup since it was down here in this consolidation. All right, it still has not broken out yet. I know it looks like it's made some big moves, but guys, I'm telling you, the move that I've been talking about, the move that I prepared you guys for, it hasn't even started yet. It hasn't. I told you guys coming into this week, we got either that or we got that. If this happens this week, that happens next week. It's very likely. That was a 50-something% move, a 6 to 7 point move at the highs. Give us a 6 to 7 point move next week. We're talking 26 to 27 bucks. I think it's possible. I think we see 22 and then 25 come quick next week. So those are going to be my personal targets. But after that, yeah, I'm not doubting that we get up to 30. This has been quite a nice and beautiful constructed base over here. And all it needs to do is break above 2056, guys. And we're talking 22, 25, 28, 30. All right, QBTS. Next one is going to be Hood. All right, Hood, I've actually been seeing a lot of early August flow come in over here, call flow come in. It was definitely the heaviest orders coming in 2 days ago, and we saw a decent amount come in yesterday as well over here for those early August calls. Now, it's currently at 102. You do have earnings coming in next week, so they could have just been an earnings bet. Regardless, I think this thing is probably going to be making its way up to new highs. All right, so one to keep on your radar. We've been watching this setup since it's been all the way down here. Okay, I hope you guys have been printing money on it continuously. You have multiple setups here that you could have been trading this whole time. It has continued setting up for us and then continue breaking out. I think it's just going to be setting up. We're sitting right here where we broke out from 188. Get back above 105.93. It might start pushing back up to highs 113.44 pretty quick. All right, that is Hood. Next one is BBAI. BBAI is one that I think is consolidating here. It's just getting ready for this move up through 1036. Once it's above 1036, I think I don't know if it pushed up to 1612 right away, but I think it can have a big move. This was a big move, $5 all the way up to 10. That was just about a 5-point move there. And the stock price was a lot lower than where it is right now. It's about, 30% lower there. Guess what? All right. that 5-point move brings you almost up to all-time highs. So I do think it's possible and is probable that a big move is right around the corner here on BBAI. So it's one that I'm keeping on my radar and potentially we'll be diving into over the coming sessions. I think we're getting pretty close to a breakout over here. But, you know, again, we have earnings coming up, guys. All right, earnings. MSTR. You know, first Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin's still just ranging out here. I'm telling you guys, a big move is coming over here. It's coming. All right, it's coming. You just have to really get through this area. You got to break above 121K. Get above 121K. Oh, it's sky's the limit, baby. It's going. But MSTR starting popping back today. I'm not going to say it looks all that crazy, but I am going to say I still think this makes back up the highs if Bitcoin makes it back up the highs. Bitcoin gets above 121K. It's likely only a matter of time, probably the same day till it gets to 123K. That happens. MSTR back above 440 pretty quick. Keep it on the radar if you'd like. All right. Last one for today. Actually, I'm also just going to say D-King. I know it's looking rough, but it's still just basing out, guys. It's basing out. It's getting ready for a move. It might start tomorrow to save that weekly candle. It might. If not, then maybe this setup is going to fall flat on its face. All right, that's what I have to say. It might make the move. If you see it get above 44.85 tomorrow, it might have a nice 2 to 3 point move, and we might see 46 bucks. All right, but no promises there because it has not been performing here. We really haven't seen it take off. But setup is still there. It's still just basing out here, and you know it looks like it still will break up in the end. All right, actually coming over here to PayPal, guys. This I just thought I'd mention this. This almost tested 79 bucks today. Congrats if anybody who's trading this. That was the target from when we put it on your radar all the way over here. All right, and actually no, it was over here. Over here. It's been quite a ways. It's been building out this big weekly base going on here around the moving averages, and now it's just starting to move up. I think it's going a lot higher. I think we're going 80 plus in the short term. Over coming weeks. We have earnings next week. Maybe we get a boost up with that. All right. But yeah, that is what I have for you guys today. Last one is going to be Reddit right here, guys. Still just basing out. Looks like it's getting ready for a move. I would say the new level to watch is 152.25. If you can break above 152.25, you're probably going to start pushing up to 164.55. All right. And then at that point, you're going to take out that high, push 174.22. Which 173 is that 0.618 fib from the whole move down. So expect sellers there if tested. But I do think this is basing out. There's now a 3-week base sitting here right along the daily 21 EMA. We are likely going to be pushing up from this. Only a matter of time. All right, guys. With that being said, shop also looks like it's probably going to be moving up. We have earnings in 2 weeks, so that is something to note. But I think we're probably going to be pushing up above 129.38 next week. I think we're probably going 135.40. That's one to pay attention to. Roblox, I've been seeing a lot of shorter dated call flow coming over here. We know dips have been bought. Every single dip so far along this whole run has been bought. It's probably going to be the same. Probably going to push back up the highs in the short term here. Maybe tomorrow, 127.99, probably incoming by earnings. That is it. That is it. I promise. No more. All right, guys. If you want to come trade with me, I am live every single day. That link will be down below. All right, and other than that, I just ask that you leave a like on these videos. That's all I ask. I try and put as much value. I try and pack as much of a punch into these videos. I try and keep them short. I know we're at 30 minutes, but you know, just look at the info we went over. All right, you got all the info you really need to do to, you know, to have to kill this market, you know, real talk. And it's around the clock. I got you 5 to 6 days a week. I know we weren't here yesterday, but again, sometimes life happens. You know, I really haven't missed many videos over the last, 3 to 4 years here on this channel. I probably have only missed like maybe 5 to 10 uploads. But, you know, the vast majority of the time, I got you right here. So just please leave a like. It helps us get this channel out to more people so we can grow. And eventually we can have a massive corner of YouTube. But right now we just got this little corner of YouTube. We got this closet. But eventually we're going to have this big old room. We're going to have windows in our room. Why? Because we're going to keep growing this channel. All right, guys. With that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Everybody have a lovely rest of your day, and peace.